42 of John 11 says, "And I knew that thou hearest me always, but because of the people which stand by I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me." For our topic today, for our good and God's glory. For our good and God's glory. You may be seated. Hallelujah. You see, we are all familiar with this chapter of John. We've heard many speakers elaborate on the death and the resurrection of Lazarus. He's in Galilee, Jesus that is, and he gets word from Mary and Martha saying, "The one that thou lovest," see, he loves me, I know that. "The one that thou lovest is sick." See, when I'm going through stuff,
come on now, say it now.
I know he loves me.
Come on. Yes. Thank you.
He knows I'm sick with sin and depression and
my God,
all diseases, and the one that thou lovest is sick. They're talking about Lazarus here, but we're sick. The one that thou lovest. See, he died for us.
All right. Yes.
He loved us enough to die for us. Lazarus is sick. Lazarus lived in Bethany, and it was a few miles away from Jerusalem. And after getting the message, his response was, his sickness is not to death, but there's another reason for him being sick.
All right.
He says, for the Son of God might be glorified. That's the reason he's sick. That's the reason he's sick. He's sick so some other stuff can happen. We're sick so some other stuff can happen.
All right.
Then John reminds us that Jesus loves Lazarus and Mary and Martha. Yet he stayed in Galilee 2 more days. But after 2 days had passed, he tells the disciples, we must go to Judea.
All right.
Now the disciples reminded Jesus that, you know, the last time you were in that area, they tried to stone you. But his response was, and I paraphrase, it's still daylight for me.
All right.
My time is not up. My work is not complete.
That's it. Amen.
Don't worry about me. And he urges them to go see about Lazarus. Now I have to put a footnote here. We always think of, and I always think of Thomas, the doubting Thomas.
All right.
And have a negative twist to him because of that. But here in this chapter, Thomas said, let's go. If he dies, we die.
All right. All right.
The faith of the doubter.
Glory. Glory.
So he urges them to go see about Lazarus. He says, our friend Lazarus sleepeth. And the disciples reply, if he sleeps, he does well. But Jesus reminds them of the situation and says, no, Lazarus is dead. And it's for your sake that I was not there. If I had been there, you would not have been in a position to believe. So they leave and they go towards Judea, towards Bethany. But they don't go all the way into Bethany. They stop outside and they send word for Martha. And she slips away from the rest of them and she goes to see Jesus, leaving Mary with the rest of the mourners.
All right. That's right. That's right.
And when she sees Jesus, the words that come out of her mouth, had thou been here, Lord, if you had only been here, if you had come when I called you.
Come on now. Come on now.
You know how we do.
Yeah.
Jesus, didn't you love him? Don't you love me? If you had just been here, he wouldn't have died.
Lord, have mercy.
But Jesus receives her words and he says, but I'm the resurrection.
Come on now.
Not I've seen the resurrection.
All right.
Not that I know how to resurrect.
All right.
But I am the resurrection.
Yes.
And I am the life.
Yes.
Which means that I am both life and the bringing back of life.
Yes.
Martha says that I know Jesus in the last days, he's going to be resurrected. But even so, I know whatever you ask God, he'll give it to you.
Yes.
So Martha runs back and she goes to get Mary. And when Mary comes, she repeats the same sentiments that Martha did. Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. If you had only been here. From the outside looking in, it seems unreasonable. But you know, we thought the same way.
That's right. That's right.
Lord, I'm about to lose my job. Lord, why is this happening to me? I give an honest tithe. And
Yeah.
if thou had been here, this bad thing wouldn't be happening right now.
All right. My Lord.
Where did you put him?
Nah.
Where did you lay him? The Bible says Jesus groaned in his spirit.
Yes.
He was vexed so vexed that he wept. I failed to mention that the Jews and the others that were back with Mary followed her
Yes, they did.
to see Jesus. And when they saw how Jesus was moved, they said, if he loved him that much, why didn't he come earlier? If he can cause blind men to see,
All right.
maybe if he hadn't come late, Lazarus wouldn't be dead.
Jesus. Come on, Holy Ghost.
You see, we always have folks following behind us.
Come on, say it.
Just to see.
Say it.
All right.
I can imagine how Mary and Martha felt when Lazarus had gotten sick. And everybody knew the relationship they had with Jesus. The same Jesus that was going around healing and feeding people. You know, sometimes we get embarrassed when we go through hard times.
All right.
I ain't the only one.
Amen.
And your relatives and friends that don't believe
Come on now.
know you're going through hard times.
Glory to God. Hallelujah.
It gets embarrassing sometimes. They'll tell you, how is it that you go to church
Come on now.
and you're losing your home? How is it that you can serve the Lord the way you do and your family breaking up?
Come on now.
We go out clubbing and drinking every night. And we're still together. We take vacations every year.
All right, you done said.
And you hardly have money to go out every now and then.
All right.
Here you go to church every time the door is open. Pay your money. Always praying for everything. And your husband left.
My Lord.
Our Lord.
Praying for my children. And your children strung out on drugs. You know they know your business. Some of it you told them yourself. But we need not be ashamed of what we're going through. Don't feel bad when something is taken away from you. You need to understand that every now and then, Jesus will stay where he is 2 more days.
Come on now.
I don't think you heard what I said. Every now and then, Jesus will stay where he is 2 more days. Every now and then there are some things that we have to go through in order for the glory of God to be seen. They finally make it to the grave site. And Jesus tells them to move away the stone. To me, that's one of those situations that makes you want to go,
All right.
I figure that if you got the power to raise somebody from the dead,
Come on now.
you ought to have enough power
Say it.
to move a stone. Why would you have them to move the stone?
All right.
You see, what he has promised is the glory of the Lord.
Yeah. All right.
But he said, before the glory,
Come on now.
you got to move the stone.
All right. All right. All right.
There are some things in our lives,
Yes.
there are some situations we're in,
All right. Hallelujah.
there are some things
Yes.
that we ask God for.
My God. My God.
There are some things that we need.
Jesus.
There's some glory that needs to be in our lives. But before the glory,
Lord have mercy.
there are some stones.
Yeah. All right. All right.
He says, I'll do the glory part. But before the glory, you got the storm. We got some relationship storms. We got some bad habit storms. We've got some addiction storms. There are some things that are going on that you got to remove before the glory. There are some things that you have to do. There are some forgiving you have to do. Some of us hold on to hurt that happened years ago. But if we let it go, then we won't have an excuse to not do what God told us to do. Those stones, you got to remove some stuff. And once you've done your part, then Jesus leans in to the tomb. Y'all missed it. He leans into our situation and calls forth the glory of God. Then suddenly through the darkness, his voice rings out and the dead come back to life. Did you notice that when Lazarus came out the tomb, he was still bound?
That's right.
He didn't walk. He probably hopped. Most people thought he walked. But he was still wrapped up in death bandages and his mouth covered. He came out and Jesus said, loose him.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Glory! My God. Hallelujah.
Now it seems to me that if you got enough power to lean into a tomb and say, Lazarus, come forth, and things start moving around and life comes back into a dead body. Now it seems to me that if you got that much power, he could have made the bandages disappear.
That's right.
And he could have walked out in all God's glory. But after the blessing, after the glory, it had to be unwrapped. The blessing had to be unwrapped. Let me say it like this. Once you get the blessing, it's your responsibility to show it off. You got to unwrap it so the world can see what Jesus has done. You say, Lord, give me this house. And once he gives you the house, you start talking about the realtor. And what the realtor did. Or you start talking about your negotiation skills. No. What you got to do is give him the praise. You got to take off the wrapping and show what God has done. There's some stuff that has to be done before the blessing. And some things that have to be done after the blessing. We prayed for husbands and relationships, children, and all of these things to be anointed by God. When he gives it to us, we've got to unwrap it and let the world see what a mighty God. What a mighty God. What a mighty Now, I want to make this point clear. There's no problem giving praise to those that are doing well and have done well and have gifts and anointings. But the praise may go to them, but the glory goes to God. He gives gifts to the musicians and the pastors and the deacons and those that are able to speak with multiple tongues, but the glory in it all has to be unwrapped to say, God did it for me. It's never, I can practice all day long. And see, I can't put two words together at one time and speak it and make a good sentence.
All right.
But the glory goes to God. I appreciate all the words and the thank yous and all that, but it wasn't me. He can use a donkey if he chooses to. But the glory goes to God. We can't take credit for God's glory. That belongs to Him. He's been faithful.
Thank you, Lord.
Faithful. Faithful. Faithful, Lord. He's a mighty God. For our good, but for His glory.